Hey, this is Daniel from Adorama Pro. We got so much great feedback on our first Pentax video when we had the pre-production model. When I spoke with the Pentax guy, he decided to drop off the production model, his sample, for a day, and we took it out for a spin again. Just like the first time, I really enjoyed using it. It's got a great feel. It's a very comfortable camera to hand hold for a medium format. And while we didn't test all the ways up, the ISO goes tremendously high for this type of camera. It's got so many options and menus in it that it was a little bit overwhelming at first, but once I walked through and saw the things I needed at first, I think there's a lot of useful things in here people will want to use. This type of camera, the medium format camera, is an amazing portrait machine. I mean, you get the beautiful shallow depth of field, you get the amazing resolution, and also the overall dynamic range. It's great for a portrait shooter that's in the studio, but it's also really well made for somebody on location. I think this would be an ideal camera for like a wedding photographer, let's say, or somebody who has to move around quickly with the camera. For the video part of it, it's got a beautiful screen. It actually flips out, which I think our pre-production model did not, which is kind of cool. And it's got focus peaking. So what's kind of nice about this camera that you may or may not know is that the Pentax made a 645 autofocus film camera, which was very, very popular for event shooters, wedding shooters, etc. And all of those lenses will work on this camera. There's only one or two current lenses that they're making and shipping to the US that are the new lenses. They're going to add more this year, but there's a whole bunch of older lenses out there that work just fine. And actually in our test, we used a 45 to 85 zoom that you could get in the used market for just a few $100s. It's a beautiful lens. So this time, like last time, we went to Union Square Park. It was actually a very, very sunny day, so I took advantage by having our model under the tree line, which is where you normally would work, where it's nice, even, beautiful light. But then we also took her right out into the sun to maybe not make as much of a beautiful photo, but to show how well the camera handled the highlight and the shadow contrast. We also took it into the store. We needed to shoot some portraits of the pro department, so we actually used this camera with some lighting, some constant lighting, a Kino Flow, some area lighting, and we made some portraits in the store with it. It was a beautiful camera for that. It's really nice, fast to use, good autofocus, and the image quality is just superb. Okay, so I'm just going to run through some of the cool features of this camera and when the menus and stuff when we turn the thing on. Depending on how you like to work, I like to keep the screen off. It saves the battery, but you can actually you can leave on either an electronic level. If let's say you have it on a tripod and you're setting it up and you're preparing yourself, you can have your status screen, which has got like all your information, almost like a lot of the consumer level DSLRs have. Or you can have it turned off. That's where I normally use it. In your menu, you've got a lot of options. There are 2 memory cards here, so you can actually have it shoot to one, then the other. You can have it shoot to both. You can have it shoot RAW to one, JPEG to the other. So you got the regular options that most 2-card cameras have. Here you've got your RAW, etc., HDR. You've got lens correction for some of the older lenses. Oh, here's your movie capture. By the way, if you don't know, this is the first medium format camera to shoot video. So you've got your exposure settings. You can have it in either shutter priority, aperture priority, program, or you can leave it in manual, which is where I left it. You can tell which memory card to go to, and you've got several options. You've got full HD, and then you got HD, which is 720 or 1080, and then you've got a bunch of different frame rates you can choose from. So it's pretty good as far as what you're working with video. You've got sound, which most people are just going to use it for scratch. These buttons here, they're like your quick buttons. Like you've got your white balance here, which is typical. You've got your auto white balance, obviously, daylight, shade, cloudy. Here with fluorescent, they give you a few different options, which is really useful because no fluorescent is really the same, so you've got a few options there. Tungsten, which is very common, flash, CT, and then this here is for your custom white balance. You can store 3 different custom white balances. If you're let's say you're in a venue or you're a wedding photographer, you could be like, okay, I'm gonna do white balance inside, outside. You could switch it back and forth here. And then once you select your white balance, you can come down here to the info, and you can also tweak it. So if you do the automatic white balance, but you want it to be a little bit warmer, let's say, you could add a little magenta and orange, and you're going to kind of warm up the skin tones, but still have a neutral photo or video. Here, when you go to your Kelvin settings, same thing. You can put in 3 different options, and if you hit the info button here, it gives you your actual Kelvins that you can put in, which you can control like that, or you've got your controller here to the side for your greens and magentas and blues. Another kind of cool feature is these picture settings, which a lot of different cameras have, but you've got these ones in here, and then you can also tweak them. So let's say that you like the portrait setting, but it's not exactly what you like. You can hit the info button here, and you can tweak the different levels of it. So you can create your own. You can see a little graph moving around as I'm tweaking out the different parts of the, contrast, high, low key, sharpness, and my hue. If I just want to twist my hue a little bit. For people that like a kind of a film look or do a lot of posts, this is kind of nice because you can kind of tweak your hue a little bit to make it come alive and give you a little bit more of a kind of a filmish look. The other thing you can do here, looking at your photos, if you push the down button from in here, you can actually go up here to your filters, and they've got all kinds of digital filters if that's the kind of thing. You got your color toy camera, etc. So you can play with your photos here, and you can actually, I'm shooting raw here, but you can actually from here, oh, okay, nice. Let's say that I like that. You could actually come here, so hit OK, and say OK, and we're going to save it now. So it's going to save a second copy of the image that's all tweaked out so that you're not destroying your original image. But the other thing you can do is if you wanted to deliver right away to a client that picture, you can come over here and you can actually convert from inside the camera. We can select this image and we can then export it as, let's say, a JPEG. And now I've got a JPEG I can quickly give to a client. So you could have your second, they could stick their card, let's say, in your second slot. And then they'd have a copy of the image they could take away with them. Okay, so that was the Pentax 645Z. It's an amazing camera. Just the low light ability alone for a medium format camera is really out of this world. It's really easy to use, really complex if you want it to be. You can add a lot of features to it. And I think it's going to be great for anybody who's a portrait or event photographer. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Adorama TV, and I'll see you next time on Extra.